So we are going to start this community call from a quick introduction of who we are today. So we have much more interaction for today's community call because today we have also a guest, Johan Rooryck, who will do a presentation. So I will start. My name is Giulia Malaguarnera. I am the Outreach and Engagement Officer for OpenAIRE. And Johan, maybe you would like to start to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Johan Rooryck. I'm Executive Director of Coalition S, and I also work on the DMS and Craft2A projects, and soon I will take up work with the European Diamond Capacity Hub and with the Almaty project starting in January.
Thank you. Leonidas, a brief introduction?
Yes, thank you, Julia. I'm Leonidas Pispiringas, data scientist and scholar communication technical expert. I work for OpenAIRE in the aggregation team and also in the OpenAIRE Monitor service and the institutional dashboards. And I also participate on GitHub OpenAIRE to several projects, including the Craft2A.
Thank you, Leonidas. Marie-Lee, would you like also to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Marie Andreopoulou. I'm the event today for the 7th Monitor Community Call. Today, you know our speakers. It's Johan Rooryck. He introduced himself, and Leonidas Pispiringas. He introduced himself as well. They will present the Plan S and Transformative agreements, and Leonidas will present the new indicator on this topic. During the presentation, we kindly ask you to keep your microphones muted and your cameras off. But if you'd like to participate in the Q&A session, please feel free to unmute your microphones and turn on your cameras. You can also submit your questions either here in the chat or in the shared document that will be posted in the chat. Please note that this session is being recorded and will be transcribed as well. And if you wish to to participate in the Q&A session but not be included in the recording, please let us know here in the chat. So, Johan, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me see if I can find my presentation. Yes, you can see this, I believe. Let me go to full presentation mode. Is everything in order? Can you see this?
Yes, everything is fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I will be talking about Coalition S and Plan S. So Coalition S is a global alliance of funders, 28 organizations worldwide currently. I mean, we of course are seeking new members as well. National funders, mainly Australia, Austria, all the way to UK-RI, but also including Quebec, Portugal, where Philippa works, Netherlands, Norway, Poland. So many funders, many major funders in Europe. Also, the European Commission is on board, applies the principles of Plan S. Charitable foundations like the Wellcome Trust, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Howard Hughes Medical Institute, ASAP, and the Templeton World Charity Foundation. Most of these American, Wellcome, of course, being British. Global dimension with World Health Organization and a couple of other funders on board, like the South African SAMRC. In total, these funders jointly spend about 35 billion euros per year in research funds that benefit researchers, and they publish jointly about 150,000 articles a year, half of which are being put out by the grants of the European Commission. So just to give you a global idea now, 150,000 articles may not seem like much, but of course these are articles that come out of projects that have been selected. So the expectation is that these are articles that are unusually influential in their fields. What is Plan S? Well, basically Plan S has a single goal. It's extremely simple. The idea is that all scholarly publications funded by funded by research of public or private grants of the funders that are members of Coalition S will be published in open access in one way or another. So that means open access platforms, repositories, open access journals. It doesn't matter whether what also doesn't matter is the color of open access. So gold, diamond, green, transformative agreements. It does not matter. At the time of publication, the publication has to be in open access, and this is a condition of the grant that is signed either by the institution or the researcher who accepts their funds. The idea of the funders here is we pay the researchers, and a condition of our research funds is that the researcher publish in their results in open access for the benefit of mankind, so to speak. So technically, this means that all peer-reviewed papers must be available in open access with a CC BY license or equivalent, so as to make it reusable by everyone. Researchers thus retain their intellectual right. You know about CC BY. I don't have to tell you about this, I believe, but I do this for other audiences who do not always know what CC BY entails. It is the reason we chose this license is that it's the one that is closest to academic practice of proper citation. So open access must be immediate, no embargo periods are allowed, publication must be CC BY, as I said. Coalition S and Plan S also do not allow for the hybrid model of publication, except in cases of transformative arrangements or agreements with a defined endpoint. Pricing should be transparent and in line with the services provided is one of our principles. Funders also commit to these publication fees, so that individual researchers of the funders should not pay. And there is also Principle 10, a commitment to assess research outputs based on their intrinsic merits and not the value of publications or quantitative metrics like the impact factor. This is already something that is being done by many of our funders who now use things like narrative CVs and sometimes even go as far as removing the publication venue from the applications for research funds so that selection committees are not unduly influenced by the journal name and should really look at the publication, the value of the publication itself. So these are, in very, very briefly, the kind of principles that Plan S adheres to. There are, of course, the 10 principles that you can look at in more detail. It is important to understand that Plan S itself is not a policy. It's a set of 10 principles and guidance on implementation that can be transformed into policy, that can be adopted into policy. So the only thing that Coalition S funders do is commit themselves to implement the 10 principles of Plan S in a coordinated way and also with their own time frame. So because we acknowledge that implementing these principles may not be as easy in every jurisdiction. I mean, in some cases, the jurisdiction prevents or delays the implementation of Plan S, and that's why we are pretty flexible about the implementation of these policies. We work together on this. We implement, so when we say coordinated way, this means that we have an expert group that discusses these things, and we make sure that all experts talk to each other to help each other to implement these policies and to formulate them appropriately, because of course many times the same problems are shared by the funders, and in that sense the expert group is in fact our best asset to move the policies forward. Now, within Plan S, and this is where the transformative agreements become important, is that within Plan S, for authors, there are 3 ways towards compliance with Plan S. Compliance means that an author has to be compliant with their publications, and there's 3 ways of achieving compliance with Plan S for publications. The first one I call the easy road, the easy road to hell. So to speak. It's the publication in full open access journals, which can be achieved via gold open access or via diamond open access, which is of course the road to heaven. But this is supported by Coalition S funders, even if it costs us a lot. So this is something that I'll talk about later. The second route is publication in subscription journals. This is the very difficult road. namely, it is possible to, under Plan S conditions, to publish in subscription journals, but the author then has to deposit a copy of at least the author-accepted manuscript in a repository at publication. And this is sometimes not supported by hybrid journals and by publishers. And so it requires what we call the rights retention strategy, which allows authors to do that despite the publisher opposition. But this is a very difficult role because it puts the author in a difficult position of having to negotiate with a recalcitrant publisher who puts a lot of obstacles in the way of this strategy. So this is not for the faint-hearted, but it does work. We have thousands of articles in publication in repositories that carry what we call the rights retention language, which allows authors to do that because it informs the publisher that the author has retained a CC BY license on the AAM of their manuscript, and there's really nothing the publisher can do about that. They can only reject the paper, or they can direct it to the paying part of the journal, which is what they often do. Route 3 is the one that we want to talk about today, I believe, namely publication in journals that are under transformative arrangement that is compliant. Right? Transformative arrangements is what I'm going to talk about next, because you asked me to define that briefly. I'll talk about that in a minute. Let me first go back to this. So transformative arrangements are arrangements where library consortia, typically where library consortia negotiate not only reading rights, but also publishing rights for the authors that form part of the consortium. I'll come back to that in a minute to show you how that works. But first, I want to talk about the journal checker tool. Since we have these 3 roads to compliance, it can sometimes be difficult for an author to know what they have to do to be compliant with Plan S, and that's why we developed the journal checker tool, which allows researchers to identify how journals can meet their open access obligations. So basically what this means is that we have a tool where an author can insert the name of the journal they would like to publish in, they can insert the funder, and they can insert the university they work at. And that gives them a set of options for a journal. So there's various possibilities that a journal that an author can then see to be compliant with. Why these 3 options? Well, first of all, the journal is self-evident, of course. The funder and the university. The funder allows us to see whether the funder will be willing to pay for APCs in that journal. That's one thing. Or whether the journal is a subscription journal and the author will have to go through the rights retention strategy. The university is important for us to know whether the author's library is part of a consortium that gives access to transformative agreements. So the journal checker tool behind the tool behind the journal checker tool has access to all the transformative agreements that have been collated by OA 2020. And so we know how many there are and where they are and which libraries are in them, and so that and institutions are in them, and so that allows us to give a definitive answer to whether these journals are indeed in a transformative agreement and whether the author can then legitimately publish in these without paying a fee. So this is how that works. I think that is important to point out. So the journal checker tool is really a very useful tool. It is currently being used by several thousand researchers per month who are funded by the coalition. Coming back to transformative arrangements, we call transformative arrangements, we use the term transformative arrangements as a cover term for various types of what is typically called transformative agreements. There's various words for that. Transformative agreements, read and publish deals, but also subscribe to open is a type of transformative agreement. And then there are the transformative journals, which is a tool that we put into existence as Coalition S in order to incentivize journals to move towards open access to accelerate the transition of hybrid journals to full open access. We found out that that did not work, that the publishers were not willing to move these journals fast enough, and so we decided to end that support by the end of this year. More in general, we are moving away as Coalition S and as funders. We are slowly moving away from transformative agreements, from supporting transformative agreements, because we think that should be more something for the libraries to support rather than for the funders to support. That does not mean that all of our funders will abandon transformative agreements from the get-go. This is really something that will take time. Some of the funders still need transformative agreements to move forward because, especially in their national context, transformative agreements are a powerful tool to provide open access to the researchers in that country. But in general, transformative agreements occur at the level of the library consortia. And of course, the idea is that the more countries sign transformative agreements with the publishers, the more the journal becomes open access. At the same time, we know that transformative agreements are an extremely slow way towards a complete and full open access at the journal level, because in fact, what you are asking is that all countries sign such a transformative agreement for the journal to be completely open access, and that's a high ask. Also, because it is typically the publishers who take the initiative to conclude transformative agreements with the library consortium, and it's not the library consortium that takes the initiative to ask the publishers. Typically, the publishers decide whether they want to engage with a country or not, and typically the publishers find it more interesting to conclude transformative agreement with rich countries than with countries who are not as wealthy. A JISC study has recently concluded that it would take 70 years for all journals to move to full open access via this system. So this is another reason why we have decided that this is not fast enough. But at the same time, you know, we have funders like FCT on the call, Philippe is on the call, who contribute, who are actively involved in the negotiations leading to these agreements, and we are not against that. Again, this is dependent on the specific jurisdiction of a country, whether the funder is or is not engaged in transformative agreements, and we understand the need to still support them, even though the limitations of transformative agreements have become clear over the years. We can talk about that a little bit more in the question and discussion period. For now, I would like to have a last slide, if I may, about the future strategy of Coalition S. We have come to the end of the first period of 5 years. The leaders of the various funders have decided that we should have another period of 5 years, 26 to 2030, and that we should change the focus a little bit and focus on 3 priorities. First of all, continuing the implementation of current Plan S policies. So we will continue what we have been doing to achieve full and immediate open access to peer-reviewed articles, also focusing on rights retention and copyright on the one hand, and research assessment on the other, in collaboration with COARA. The second priority, and that is becoming a really important priority, is to support equitable and innovative publishing infrastructure and models like Diamond OA and Publish Review Curate models. That is because we think that open access to reading is not sufficient. After the UNESCO recommendation, it is clear that equitable publishing also means making sure that authors do not have to pay. So that is that we should move away from paying APCs, for example, and paying expensive TAs that are only apply to a subset of researchers in specific countries and not in others. Typically, it does not apply to countries that are not as wealthy. And then the third priority for us is expanding the Plan S policies to include open access to all research output related to the article, such as data, peer reviews, protocols, and metadata. But that is a lower priority, but we do think it is important, especially access to peer reviews, because we want to support open peer review. And I'll stop my presentation here and I'll stop sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Johan. Leonidas? Leonidas, could you open the mic? Perfect.
Yes, thank you, Johan, for insightful presentation. So, in my presentation, I will have a few slides where I describe the planness and the APC metrics and indicators we have in the institutional dashboard, and then we'll go through a demo to see them in action in the profile. So I will pass my first slide regarding the planness requirements because Johan covered it more than adequate in this. Regarding the planness indicators that we have currently in OpenAIRE Monitor, we have initiated in the OpenAIRE Monitor and in the National Open Access Monitor of Ireland, we focus on publication venues, where authors should publish in fully open access journals or platforms, whether it is a gold open access, in diamond open access journal, or we have a green open access copy version. And of course, the hybrid journals are not compliant unless they are part of a transformative agreement that leads to full open access, which is something that we get from OpenAPC. So regarding the APC data, OpenAIRE collects data on APCs, including those from transformative agreements, mainly from OpenAPC. This is currently an ongoing work that we want to do for the institutions in OpenAIRE Monitor. Regarding the transformative agreements for the National Open Access Monitor of Ireland, which was the initial part where we had introduced the planness indicators, Ireland curated and provided the data on transformative agreements to ensure comprehensiveness. And we are exploring the direct collection, the possibility to collect directly from institutions, apart from OpenAPC, gathering the information for the transformative agreements. And we are also going to have planners funded indicators regarding the planners funders. This will be added in a later stage, where we are going to identify all the funders that are in OpenAIRE and are also members of the Coalition S. So the metrics, the indicators that we have regarding planners are broken down. Of course, the focus area is 2021 and beyond, and are broken down to the publications in diamond open access journals and the transformative agreement in transformative journals, the ones that follow the gold open access route, and also we offer the option for, we name it other journals for the other publications. While these categories that we currently focus on, they're not exhaustive of all the planners requirements, they provide valuable insights into the evolving dynamics of open access publishing, and they clarify how various open access models and agreements are being adopted and integrated in line with the planners principles. Okay, so regarding APCs, we have the OpenAPC as a primary source of APC data that we collect, that we aggregate. OpenAPC provides a clear view of the financial aspects of open science. The OpenAPC platform relies solely on the institutions to supply their APC data. And as I have already told you, the data on APCs and the transformative agreements will be added at a later stage. For the indicators we have for APCs, we have two categories in the dashboard. The first one is the APCs that are reported in OpenAPC by the institution, by your institution. They usually reflect the direct financial involvement and administrative responsibility of the institution, though it might not be clearly indicated, but it usually does. And in most cases, the institution that reports the APCs is the one that manages and likely paid the fee. And why should we monitor separately this category, knowing which APCs the institutions likely funded? The publications offer valuable insights into the scale and distribution of the open access investment, supports more accurate budget planning, it assists on justifying funding decisions, and strengthens internal transparency and accountability. And of course, we also have the category for the APCs that have been reported by a co-author's institution. These are APCs submitted to OpenAPC by another institution involved in the same publication, and these are typically a co-author affiliation for the specific publications. And we have this additional category, this additional section in the dashboard, in order to have a clearer view of how publishing expenses are shared within the research network of the institution. It highlights cost-sharing patterns, it can inform on fair collaboration agreements, and it can also guide strategic decisions about forming or maintaining partnerships that support open access publishing. So let's also go through to see the two sections. It's under open science and publications. So let's go on Plan S indicator, where first we have the numbers of the categories that I have just mentioned, the breakdowns in diamond journals under transformative agreement, in transformative journals, and gold open access with APCs. We have the trends for over time from 2021 and above, with values and by percentage, of course. We have the breakdown by fields of science at the first level, again by values and by percentage. And also at the second level of the field of science and technology. All the charts are interactive, where you can zoom in, zoom out, and this is an indicated chart that we can do it to see all the values for each field of science. Again, by value and percentage. We also have the top RFOs, the top research funding organizations, the top funders by number of peer-reviewed publications published in a Plan S or Plan journal, sorted by the number of publications, the gold open access with APC's publications. And as I have already mentioned, we are going to add the indicators regarding the Plan S funders. And at the article processing charges section, we begin with some numbers on publication, number of publications with APCs, the number of publications that have been reported to OpenAPC by any co-authors institution, and the total APCs that falls under this category, and also the publications that have been reported to OpenAPC by the institution, and the total APCs that have been reported by the institution. And these are followed up by indicators broken down for each category. First of all, over time, we have the total and the average APCs. Also broken down by fields of science on the first and also on the second level for the total APCs. For the average APC per publication, we have a breakdown at the first level by fields of science. And we also have the total and average APCs by gold and hybrid open access routes. The all bronze is something that we need to to change in the subtitle here, broken down also over time, and the top 30 journals by total APCs and average APCs per publications. And the following section, it has the same indicators and breakdowns, but it's for the APCs that have been reported by the institution to OpenAPC. I'm going to stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leonidas. Okay, so now we can start the discussion about if you have any questions for Leonidas and for Johan, please.
And of course, every feedback is always it's always accepted, and we want and need your feedback regarding this on our methodology, on the indicators, and what we should do better.
Yes, so if any one of you have some ideas, or if you like how we are trying to catch if at the institutional level maybe you have embraced the principle of the Plan S, if this integration in the dashboard can be useful for you to understand if you maybe need to raise more awareness at the institutional level, if we need to create training materials, a fact sheet to increase the awareness of researchers on where to publish. Please feel free to tell us what do you think and if they may be useful for you. Yes, Johan.
Yes, I have a question. I mean, maybe I don't understand it completely yet, but I was wondering about the complementarity between the JCT on the one hand and the OpenAIRE dashboard on the other. Is that something that needs to be discussed perhaps, or something that can be made more clear? Because of course we also allow institutions to see, or researchers from institutions to see whether the journal is compliant with Plan S principles, even if the researchers themselves are not supported by a funder. I mean, we of course do not reach out to institutions to attend them to that fact, but perhaps the complementarity between the two tools can be leveraged in some way. I'm just asking an open question. I'm not.
Yes, regarding the transformative journals information, we get this information from Plan S, from you. We
Yes,
utilize
exactly.
this information to
Right.
generate these indicators. If you can see, if you've seen the methodology and our terminology, we stated that we get it from Plan S. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we should add the log or some information to, if you want to know more, please click here.
Yes, yeah. For me, it's just a matter that is clear, that researchers are not confused, right? That they know that this is in line with the JCT, that they don't get that they will not get other information.
Yes, it is in line, and it is in our terminology, just like all the indicators we have.
But I think it's important that researchers don't think, hey, wait a minute, there are two tools here, let me check them both. Or I think it's important for them to know that if they check one, that it's sufficient, right? I mean that they will get the same kind of information.
Okay, so the target of the monitor is usually the institution itself. In this case, we are implementing these indicators also for funders, because it's the idea of this dashboard is to understand how the policy are received, let's say. But from the researcher point of view, it's probably more useful to go directly to the Plan S.
Yeah. But
And
so if I understand correctly, what you will do is gather information about how many times the transformative agreement is used by researchers for an institution, so that the institution can know whether the transformative agreement is useful for them. Is that correct? Or yeah. That's
Yes,
good.
it's the number of publications that
The number of
falls under the
publications
transformative agreement. Yes.
that are being served by so that they can calculate
Yes.
also the value, right, to the institute.
Yes, exactly.
I see. Thank you. Yeah. No,
So
that isn't.
probably from one hand is how to allocate the resources from institutions and go back to the administration when you are looking how you are investing at the institutional level, or how the library should negotiate maybe or ask from or compare their university with another university who may have other kind of knowledge in how to negotiate with how if they are doing better. So it's a way also to have discussion between universities, manager and institution to improve their own policy, try to invest.
You're doing this as well for funders? You are going to do this for funders as well? Because that would be of interest to us, of course, as to the coalition as funders, so that we know what we are getting for our money, so to speak.
Exactly. It's more for the policy decision maker, if for you to understand how it is the uptake. We have here also Harry.
Because until now we didn't have data about that, so that would be very, very welcome. Yeah.
So Leonidas and Harry, maybe you can give us some insights on when the Plan S and Transformative Agreement indicators will be also in the dashboard for funders.
Leonidas, I think you know more about the timetable, but I think they're coming soon, right?
They will come soon. Yes, we need to check how they apply to the funded dashboard and adjust them respectively. But they will come soon, since we have already since they are already there for the institutions.
And the good thing is that also OpenAPC, which is one of the data sources for article processing charges and book processing charges, has also dashboard for funders. So this kind of combination is helping also to get much more information.
Is this already available?
Yes.
Can you point me to this?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, or send me a message. You don't have to do it now, because I mean I don't think this is known by the funders that this is at because we know what we spend. We know what we spend on APCs. It's an enormous amount. It would be good, of course, to know what what the spend is, what the division is over the fields, and so on and so forth, so that we have a better idea, so that we can bring it down.
Yes. So maybe I can also.
This with this.
So, for example, let me share also my screen.
Oh, you can send me the links, Julia, but I would
Yes,
definitely we would love to look into this.
I will do that as well. But for all the founders, usually in OpenAPC we are collecting this data both from the university that because OpenAPC started in libraries. With the University of Bielefeld, which is part of also the OpenAIRE catalog, and they are also OpenAIRE members. So we collect this kind of data also from
This is for which
founders.
year? This is for which year?
This is Wellcome Trust, and OpenAPC is a service in the OpenAIRE catalog that is developed by the University of Bielefeld, which is also a member of OpenAIRE AMKE, the organization. Then we have monitor not only for institution as Leonidas has shown today, but we have also for dashboard from the funders. I will give you also the link and I will show you in a bit.
And it's also important for institutions and funders to give their APC data in OpenAPC.
Yes. So,
Otherwise, we won't have comprehensive information regarding this, and especially from the funders part.
so for example, this is the monitor for funders. Of course, with the European Commission, it's how we started, and the Plan S would be here in the publication as well. So by now we have the fairness and the article processing charges.
The article processing charges at the funders dashboards are only for the publications that are by any co-author institution. They need to be revised.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
The ones that are presented today was for the institutional dashboard. When we have the comprehensive section,
Okay.
the respective comprehensive section for the funders, we will also present it in a community call, and we will also inform you, Johan, to
Yeah, no, thanks for this.
review it.
But I don't want to hold up. I don't want to hold up the others because maybe everybody else on this call already knows about this, and I'm the only one to be ignorant of your activities.
No, don't worry, Johan. We will invite you for the next call, and we will do a joint webinar probably with Plan S and Harry, who is
Yeah,
our.
actually, I think it would be good for you to present this at some point in the new year for our expert group. So to invite you to our expert group so that all our experts from the different coalition S funders can see what you are doing. I think that would be the best way of proceeding so that you reach the widest possible audience in the coalition. Let's make a point of that. Can you contact me about that, Julia, so that we set that up, and I will contact the president of the president of the expert group so that we can take that forward. You could have for instance, a half an hour to present this, and then you can ask questions, and be assured that you will get a lot of questions. Yeah.
Thanks.
But I think this is quite interesting and deserves a bit of a more of a publicity. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Anders.
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentations. I really enjoyed it, and I'm happy to see that this open monitor thing is going forward. And I have a question because I represent a single university. We are really interested in measuring and benchmarking our openness and fairness and open scienceness and you name it. But the underlying data now is OpenAIRE graph, as I understand it. And we think that we have a pretty good knowledge about exactly which publications that belong to our university. Is it any possibility that we can have a say in which publications that are belonging to, in our case, Royal Institute of Technology, and also for other institutions as well? And then the second question I have is about OpenAIRE, because OpenAIRE is obviously a resource that could be injected into OpenAIRE graph.
Okay. Well, regarding your first question, we are going to introduce a functionality in the institutional dashboard in OpenAIRE Monitor for the dashboard managers of the institution to be able to upload us a list of DOIs with research products that are affiliated with their organization, because the dashboard managers in OpenAIRE Monitor are people that we can trust to give us the correct information. So this is going to happen soon. It's a functionality that we are currently working on it in beta, testing it, and it will be soon to production for you to use it. And regarding your second question, we are examining the possibility to integrate OpenAIRE, of course, to have more comprehensive information, but we need to set specific workflows and filters.
Of course, let me compliment about also OpenAIRE. The fact is that OpenAIRE is a similar service to the OpenAIRE graph, and And we are improving the OpenAIRE graph, the duplication, enrichment, and aggregation activity. So if we are aggregating other information from another aggregator, I don't know how much fair it will be. So we need to have more clarity on the comparison between the two services. So we are inviting the community if you would like to compare the OpenAIRE graph with OpenAlex, and tell us what are your understanding, or what you like most, what we can do better, how we can improve, because that would be interesting. The OpenAIRE graph has a long story, let's say, with the European Commission, the fact that we are collecting and linking not only publication, but also data sets and software, as it's community driven, so it's made mostly from repositories, thematic, and green root, CRIS system, and open access journal. We are not sure about how OpenAlex is collecting their data. So we need to understand each other. But since also the business model is different, because we are non-profit, and OpenAlex is as a cost, as much as I know, for institutions and for the people that are adopting it. I'm not sure how much we can collaborate together.
Okay.
The one thing that we are focusing is quality. Regardless the sources that we aggregate information, and this we're trying to ensure from OpenAlex to the last repository and data source that we aggregate in OpenAIRE.
So it's a matter also of collaboration activities.
Yeah. I think maybe this world is too small to have. Well, I would like to have one source, single point of truth when it comes to. We have Scopus, we have Web of Science, Dimensions, all these databases with. I would really prefer to have one source. If Open Science Graph, OpenAIRE Graph, which obviously is a very good initiative, and OpenAlex could talk together, it would be beautiful. And we are talking with OpenAlex now, and we are trying to clean OpenAlex, so OpenAlex will be our single point of truth for the future. But I would like to have the same truth should be injected into Open Science Graph, obviously. So the results and the measurement of openness will be representative and accurate.
Maybe we should have this conversation with Paolo, the CTO of OpenAIRE, who worked at first on the OpenAIRE graph, and maybe we can have this kind of discussion in the OpenAIRE graph community call and see. It will be interesting to collaborate, of course, but it's hard to have one single point, also because of the sustainability of the data that are behind the construction and all the algorithms that are there in terms of cleaning errors and how to find out. So the OpenAIRE catalog of services are also working on cleaning, validating the data, trying to find a standard with the community, with the OpenAIRE interoperability guideline. We have many discussions behind it. And it's really hard to have the same understanding of what is truth, of what the quality means for everybody. if I speak with a researcher, the quality of the data is the quality of data that are effectively produced during a research. If I speak with a repository manager, the qualitative data are the data that have good metadata. So it's hard to have one single point that is fine for everybody. And when you have one, you always have people that say, yes, but I want the power to decide what to choose and for what kind of activity that I want to perform with that service are good for me or not. So we cannot say go to one service. You have to compare and decide.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Thank you. I think I got to the problems and the challenges. Thank you so much, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But if you want to bridge the collaboration, feel free and let us know.
Yeah, actually, I would like to be involved because this is dear to my heart, what you are doing. So you please contact me if you need some like input from a single humble university in Sweden.
We're looking forward to your input. We're telling you now, and I see that you already have a dashboard in OpenAIRE Monitor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Any question, any feedback? Is it clear? Is it useful? Are you doing something different?
Yeah, I do think it's useful, but I mean, for the call with our experts, I think it would be very important to be able to show how this could work for a funder to provide insight both in the APC spend and in the TA in the transformative arrangement spend. And for that, of course, you can look at on our website which ones are supporting that. Huh? So the NWO is supporting TAs, for instance. So you could use that example. Almost all funders are using APC, so you could give a couple of examples from that, and then sort of give show how useful this is for them to get insight in their spend. Because I mean, last year, for instance, 2023, all coalition S funders combined spent about 180 million on APCs. We all know that is not sustainable going forward. There's this study from the French showing that if we continue doing this, we will pay 3 times as much in APCs 10 years from now. Nobody is willing to live in that world, but then we need more insight on how these figures break down in order to be able to move to a different world where we have Diamond OA and publish, review, curate. So that is our interest, and if you can contribute to that, we would be very grateful.
Yes.
Just giving you some sort of a brief for the meeting with the expert if you are interested in doing that.
Yes, we will do. With Leonidas and Harry, we are looking forward to have this meeting as well.
I know it's a big ask, but yeah, I mean that would be of very serious interest to ourselves. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. I think we ran out of time. So thanks everybody to join. Thanks Johan for be our guest speaker today. Thanks everybody for joining, and we are wishing you nice holidays, and we look forward to the next community calls and to the meetings. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Julia. Thanks,